League of Legends is good. I'm not an addict. Here's my comprehensive guide to crush lane in League of Legends. The first thing we need to understand is, what is the point of laning? It's not kills, it's not glory, it's literally farming. Everything we do in lane is to maximize how many hooded midgets we can slaughter. They're the highest source of gold and experience in the game by a mile. Farming is the foundation of fundamentals. Find the fun in fucking farming. Free on God. I'm sure you're sick of hearing this basic shit. Farm more, aim for 10 CS a minute, and I'm sick of it too. This guide is not going to be a billion ways of saying to farm more. It's just helpful to know that it's the point of laning so that it's easier to understand what good and bad laning is and why. Offense. Neace may have been a controversial coach, but his offense-defense framework for explaining laning was gold. We're on offense when we have minion advantage, also known as push in lane. We have several advantages to make use of during this time. For one, we have more minions. Creeps do a lot of damage, especially early in the game, so having more ally minions than your opponent essentially gives you more damage for fighting. Level advantage. We've killed more minions and therefore have more experience than our counterpart. This means we'll level up before they do and can make use of the 600 gold worth the stats we gain and the extra ability we have during these windows. Opportunity cost. Because we've gotten most of the minions and our opponent has not, there's little risk to getting out traded. Since the wave is mostly pushed in, we have the option to reset while they have to farm under tower, so we're not too concerned with our health anyways. As Baus takes advantage of, dying isn't even terrible during this window as we won't be missing farm and our opponent isn't going to have time to shove the next wave out and reset. It's far more risky for things to go south for your opponent as they will miss a ton of farm to their tower while you get a free reset if they die. The minion advantage makes it really quick to shove the wave into their tower and back. The goal of offense is to maximize our advantage. This does not necessarily mean killing our opponent. Remember, the point of laning is farming. If your opponent fucks up and dies, that's awesome. However, there's no need to force onto them when they're positioned safely. Your default on offense should be getting perfect farm while being positioned aggressively to zone and pressure your opponent. This guarantees your farm while denying some of theirs. If they overextend, then of course you can trade on to them. This is to chunk them, which makes it easier for you to pressure them and harder for them to pressure you. The benefit here is to increase your ability to free farm while decreasing theirs. A common mistake that you need to avoid is sacrificing too much farm to trade and zone your opponent. While it's awesome to put the opponent behind, remember you're also putting yourself behind even if they lose more than you do. For instance, say you sacrifice 50% of your minions to deny the opponent 100% of theirs. They're going to be useless and you'll definitely have one lane, but you're still going to be weaker than anyone else on the map who farmed more than half their minions. A good rule of thumb is to only sacrifice farm for very substantial trades, ones that chunk the opponent hard and guarantee your opponent will need to reset or be completely zoned from the wave. Another downside to overzoning is that it can make trades sloppy. If you don't currently have a level lead and extend into their wave to fight, that gives a short-term advantage to your opponent. If they're able to short trade and disengage, you'll just lose the trade due to tanking the wave. Even though you can fix it with a reset, it's not optimal to get low and have to reset all the time. It's far more reliable to still make trades as clean as possible. How do you do that? Being on offense does not justify being lazy. Level up timers are usually the best time to guarantee winning trades as you have a 600 gold stat advantage and an extra or stronger ability. This means that getting your abilities and damage off if they allow it is far more valuable than avoiding enemy damage or minions during this window due to the sheer extent of the advantage. Of course, avoid their abilities if you can without letting them get away, otherwise don't stress it. Learn your level up timers. Here's what they are assuming you kill melee and cannon minions before casters. For level 2, it's the second minion of the second wave. For level 3, it's the second minion of the third wave. And for level 4, it's the fifth minion of the fourth wave or the first cannon wave. Otherwise, I would recommend generally just watching your purple XP bar, as it's common to miss some farm after the first 4 levels. Another component to cleaning up trades is movement gapping the enemy. Offense is the perfect time to strive to dodge abilities, since fucking it up isn't as dangerous and succeeding creates a bigger advantage. I also have a really in-depth video on how to do this, which I'll link in the description. Bait them with your body language. Some common ways to do this include having your character look away to lull them into a false sense of security. You can fake runaway into a quick turnaround, or you run behind them while you're getting a level up. And something to note here is if you have distance between you and your opponent while running behind, they're going to be slower to react or recognize threat due to you not running directly at them. You also want to trade around your abilities. Always trade with either cooldown advantage or at least even cooldowns. This guarantees a winning or at least relatively even trade regardless of whether you succeed in dodging abilities. Try to trade outside the wave. Trading outside of the minion wave and moving away from minions between attacks will reduce the minion damage you take. Remember to make use of the reset option if things go poorly, as that's one of the main reasons it's safe to be proactive during offense. Another essential aspect of maximizing our advantage is to stay on offense for as long as possible. You need to slow push. This will guarantee two things. One, you'll have push and therefore offense for a longer window, and then your wave will also be in a more favorable position in the lane to make use of our said offense. When you only last hit, your waves are going to sync up right outside of your tower. This gives you easier trading. It's hard for the enemy to re-trade onto you due to your tower. It also gives you a longer lane to fight in if your opponent missteps or is susceptible to an all-in or even a gank. This also gives you safety from ganks as your tower protect. Ganks are often our only threat when on offense, so minimizing their viability is always smart. Stop slow pushing if doing so will cause the waves to meet right outside of your opponent's tower. For the same reasons you want the wave right outside of your tower, you don't want it right outside your opponent's, even with minion advantage. Practice assessing where your next wave is on the minimap, as the enemy wave is going to be in the same spot. With practice, this allows you to anticipate where the waves will meet. If they'll meet near the enemy tower, start fast pushing, and if they don't, you can just keep on slow pushing. When in doubt, stacking two waves into fast pushing is a reliable way to keep waves in a good position. Defense. When the enemy has push, you are on defense. This is because now they have the minion advantage, XP lead, and superior opportunity cost. If you fuck up defense, you fuck up the game. Damage and death hurt way harder on defense for all the same reasons. You have not gotten much of the minions, which lets your opponent quickly shove the wave and deny all your farm if you die. For these reasons, the goal of defense is to minimize the damage. Basically, respect the hell out of your opponent. Your mindset has to be that you're treading on thin ice, getting too close to them. Your number one priority on defense is keeping your health as high as possible. Taking damage will increase the risk of being dove, which in case you don't know, is bad. Losing trades will also mitigate your ability to go on offense after the crash, which means less farm, less agency, and more suffering than usual. We usually play League to escape our real life suffering, so really try to minimize the pain in game. Only go for farm if it's completely safe to do so. XP is far more important in the early game, so don't be afraid to miss last hits. The minions are going to get to your tower soon enough, so you'll miss less than you think. As offense is timed to movement gap, defense is timed to spacing diff on the haters. Spacing is basically maintaining enough distance between you and your opponent so that you're just out of their threat range. Doing this well will lead to them trying to hit you anyways, missing, and feeling bad. If you're positioned near ally minions, the enemy may hit them and push the wave faster, which reduces your time on defense. If your opponent only has minor poke and otherwise not much threat, you can also intentionally let them hit you a tiny bit near your minions so that they push faster. Their abilities will thin your wave, and their autos will cause your minions to aggro them, keeping the enemy wave healthier and making it push harder. Only go for this if you take very light poke. Your HP should be staying above 80% so that you're safe under tower for future offense. Regardless of tricks to make the enemy push faster, always err on the side of caution with defense. Messing any of this up will make the game very hard very fast. Winning lane. Now that you understand the point of laning and how to play offense and defense, let's use this information to win our lane. To start off, if you're in an even or winning level 1, try to start on offense. To do this, show up to your lane on time. The whole reason leashing is terrible and no longer meta is because being later to lane than your opponent guarantees you're on defense. They'll use the extra time to secure the push and basically have a free advantage right off the bat. Start pushing the wave quickly. A lot of the time, enemies will respect you if you confidently push level 1. Play offense once advantage is secured. If you have a losing level 1, start on defense. But I will say, in lower ranks, you can cheese and give your opponent a shit test, which is basically Follow the steps for trying to start on offense and see how the enemy responds. If they allow it, congrats, because now you start off lane with an advantage for literally no reason, and if they call you on it and chase you off, you need to respect and play defense. The downside to trying to cheese in a losing matchup is that a smart opponent can leave the wave frozen and play to zone you level 1, which makes it really rough to play lane. This will likely only happen in Emerald Plus, but regardless, try this at your own discretion. Reset for success. Resetting allows you to be as strong as possible at any given moment, making it really valuable under the right circumstances. The first set of criteria are when it gives you a significant resource advantage. Items. You want to be able to buy at least a minor component, but a large component is more ideal to have a better stat advantage over your opponent. HP or mana. If resetting gives you a significant health or mana advantage over your opponent, it's going to give you a great upper hand. The second set of criteria is having minimal minion loss when resetting. Resetting after a slow push into a crash, proxying a wave, or crashing a wave and immediately teleporting back to lane all allow you to gain a resource advantage for minimal gold or XP loss. Proxy farming or crashing a wave into immediately teleporting are basically lossless if you do them correctly. A final thing to note is that resetting on your own terms is best. Being the first one to reset under ideal circumstances puts you at an advantage. You lose next to nothing, and your opponent has to either lane with lower resources or back while you're in lane. In both cases, they are likely to miss farm. Laning with advantage. If you've been following the offense-defense framework well, you should get an advantage over your opponent. This is any set of circumstances where you're strong enough to break the rules of offense-defense. Whether you won a trade, got better items with a reset, or are stronger due to matchup power spikes, it's time to leverage your advantage. Use priority to establish safety. This is a vital first step if we want to start playing more aggressively. We need to make sure we're 100% safe to do so first. Verify threats on the map. Make sure you're not going to play into a gank or roam. If you lack information, establish vision to create safety. If threats are around, play accordingly. I elaborate on how to do so in the next section. Once you're safe, make use of advantage. There are a few options for doing this. Freeze wave into zone. When on defense, play to thin the wave. Thinning the wave makes it more manageable and safer to fight in. Then freeze it outside your tower and zone your opponent. Pros with this are that you get the free farm while the enemy can't, creating a larger resource gap. You're also safe from ganks, and your opponent may tilt and overextend. The cons are this is lower income than upcoming options, as you only get gold from farm, and this does not generate as much pressure outside of your lane. The next option is proxy farming. This is usually for top, but I guess bot could do it too, maybe. Pros are you have permanent priority, always having first move for roaming and invading. It's also high pressure. Enemies have to worry about where you are while your laner is stuck under tower hating their life. You also get great resets. You have high tempo reset where you don't miss farm and your opponent can't match it due to being under tower. You can also get some plates as your minions whittle down the enemy tower, which allows you to snag an occasional plate. Cons. You're far more susceptible to ganks as you're going to be overextended and tanking a wave. Proxying at the wrong time will basically make you a free kill. Your opponent will also get perfect farm despite being behind. The next option is playing for plates. You slow push, crash waves into the enemy tower, and take it in front of them. Pros are this is a high income option. Plates and towers are worth a lot of gold, especially pre-14 minutes. It's also high pressure. Your laner wants to protect their tower and is going to be stressed out trying to save it. Once the tower dies, you can push further out in lane, gaining better tempo for roaming, invading, or taking other towers around the map. Getting tower has the added bonuses of helping secure feats of strength as well as opening up the map. Cons. You will take high damage as your lane opponent will trade onto you while you're under their tower. This is why you only play for plates when you're not at risk of dying by doing so. Even if you don't die, you can be forced to reset due to taking a lot of damage, which can be a bit of a downside in the wrong times. You'll also be vulnerable to ganks. The last and my favorite option is diving. It's very high risk, high reward. The pros are it maximizes pressure on your opponent. They're going to be scared under tower, knowing that if they die, they're going to lose a ton of minions and essentially be fucked. It's also high impact. Succeeding gives you a massive advantage. Your opponent will be down tons of farm and experience while you get perfect farm and kills on top of it. Not only are you going to be stronger relative to your laner, but you're also going to be stronger than most other people on the map. The best part of diving, however, is that it asserts absolute dominance. I have had many people go AFK after being dove, as it really sucks to have happen. Cons. It's incredibly risky. Towers are overpowered early in the game, so screwing up the execution means you go from having an advantage to giving a free kill to your laner. This will give a substantial gold and experience lead to the opponent, taking you out of the game in some cases. I have thrown many games fucking up dives. The other risk is even if you survive the dive, you'll just be a free follow-up kill for a nearby jungler. When you factor in them getting a kill, assist, and the jungler catching the wave, this can be a huge net loss. Laning with disadvantage. If you messed up to get here, figure out what went wrong after the game. Planning for failure isn't useful. Fix your mistakes instead, but sometimes it's not your fault. Bad matchup, early invade, whatever. Here's how to survive and stay relevant. Prioritize XP over CS. Early XP matters more than gold. Don't greed for the last hits and die, take what you can safely. The experience range is generous, so soak XP when you're zoned. Stay healthy. Keep your HP and mana up so you can assist when help arrives. I win losing matchups on Mundo all the time with just this. Position carefully. Play conservative. Don't give them free trades. Master spacing and movement. Even losing lanes have windows. People misplay. Bait abilities, dodge well, and you can win trades or at least farm safely. I cover this in depth in another video. The link will be in the description. The next section is about playing around the enemy jungler, but a lot of the same principles apply, as disadvantage is disadvantage. What about the jungler? I guess junglers are part of the game, so here's what you need to know. Good play is good defense. Doing better than your opponent with offense-defense can lead them to being too low to follow up on ganks. Also, managing waves well will keep you in a safe part of the lane more often and provides a larger ally wave for protection when needing to push. Lastly, being high health and having your sums up make you a naturally hard target to kill. If you're susceptible to or worried about a gank, on defense, try to thin the wave and freeze it right outside of your tower if you can do so safely, if you're not going to get chunked or already have a resource advantage. If you can't freeze, let the wave crash, farm it slowly under tower so you're safe for longer, and then try to hold the oncoming wave right outside of your tower. It's all about maximizing time near your tower so you're safe. When your teammates say to keep yourself safe, this is of course what they're talking about. If they go for a dive, if you think you can outplay it, go for it. Otherwise, run and reset. If you were too low to outplay the dive, after the game you should figure out why you were that low to begin with. If you're worried about a gank on offense, ping your jungle to help if they're nearby, but if they're not nearby or don't want to help, here's a few options. Slow push until the wave is in a dangerous position, back out of your laner's vision, and then go for a ward. Keep an eye on your laner when you do this, because if the jungle's waiting in the bush, then your laner's gonna start running past the wave towards you and you need to back the fuck up. Fight in your large wave. If you're strong, you can choose to fight in a large minion wave. To do this, you want to position so that the wave is between you and your enemy so that they get minion blocked and you can land some early damage. Once they're through the wave, try to position in the middle of it so it does maximum damage during the fight. Movement is also going to be key here, so try to focus up and dodge any damage you can. Bousing it is also an option. Since on offense you don't lose much from dying, especially early in the game, you can choose to die for your wave. To do this, farm all the minions while the enemies are running at you. Once you're done getting the wave, you stall and run away. Since your ally minions are going to crash into the tower while they're chasing you, it makes the enemy lose something while dying. If possible, you can even try to run between the enemy towers and pull the oncoming wave, just to make the enemy miss more and waste more time. If you're unable to stall or pull a wave, sometimes it's just better to fight and chunk them after getting the wave so that they're weaker when you come back. At times, you gotta take the L. Sometimes you're just too weak to get anything for dying, and the best play is simply to accept the loss, run away, and reset. If your laner and the jungler can kill you quickly regardless of how you play it, then this is the choice for you. It's also worth noting that tracking the enemy jungler and watching the minimap in general is really helpful for knowing when to be expecting pressure. If you're on defense and know that during your next offense the enemy jungle will be around, then it can be worth warding ahead of time just to make life easier in the near future. What to do with a lead? If you've been watching closely, you're now going to get a lead in lane all the time, right? Here's how to play once you have a substantial lead against your opponent. Be consistent, not crazy. Being ahead means you're likely worth more gold because of bounties and more XP due to being a higher level. This means you are a big target on the map and need to play accordingly. This means forcing is flipping. While in isolation, you often can force fights and even dive when fed, the game is not a 1v1. People are going to want that bounty and to slow you down, so wasting cooldowns, diving, or walking far up without information turns you into an easy kill. It's better to have your cooldowns and resources up for objectives or more straightforward fights in the future. Defense becomes the best offense. When fed, it's your job to know where people are on the map and make quality decisions based on that information. Positioning safely and respecting when people go for you can often lead to them forcing and getting you even more fed. If you maintain composure and patience, you also keep getting more resources than the enemy and will be a huge presence on the map. When the moment is right, you will get the opportunity to play a crushing fight and put the game away. When safe, play for priority. Since you're fed, you can get all your farm, shove your wave in, and use that prio to extend your advantage. The choices you make with prio are influenced by your champion and what they want. For example, a split pusher may want to play for plates and stealing camps, where a teamfighting champ will want to skirmish and play around objectives. Another thing to remember is that you can communicate with your jungle so they know to play around your priority. This helps secure objectives and deny enemy camps in a more coordinated fashion. Thank you for watching the video. Be sure to subscribe, like, and comment if you want to support my channel.